hold your ground until the last possible moment. Because now it's time for the old switcheroo where we're talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jaymo. Join us on our epic quest to research and review all 300 plus games in the Nintendo Classics catalog. Today we are journeying from the big screen to the much, much smaller screen as we dive deep into Quest for Camelot on the Game Boy Color and playing at a theater near you. In an episode we are calling a farcical animated ceremony. If you like what you hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course play along. Mike, you get my reference, yeah?
Not at the moment.
Oh, I think Steve, are you with me?
No, I don't think I get it.
Dang it, too obscure. It's like
Oh,
a farcical aquatic ceremony is no no means for a
oh,
system of
oh.
government.
I got you now. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
It's a long walk. Well, you know what though, Steve, you're closer than Mike was. I'm so happy you're here, guys. This is a very special episode of the old switcheroo. Quest for Camelot marks the first and only game in the current Nintendo Classics catalog. We're getting another one later to be based on a film. So I could think of no better person to invite along on this crusade than my pod daddy, the man who inadvertently inspired the creation of the old switcheroo, CinemArcade, Steve Guntli. It's an honor to have you with us, Steve. How you doing today?
Oh, please, please. Steve Guntly's my father. Call me Bladebeak, but by all means. Look. That's we're all friends here. No, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a little concerned that the niche I've carved for myself means that people think of me and Quest for Camelot in the same breath, but that's the path I've chosen. So yeah.
I mean, underrated maybe. I don't know. We're gonna get into it, but I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
really hate this thing. So, Steve, your previous podcast, the Ultra 64 slash Wii Universe,
Mhm.
is the only podcast I've ever platinumed. I've listened to every single
Oh shit.
episode. I did the Patreon. Like, I'm like a super fan.
Oh.
Yeah, you and your friend Woody reviewed and ranked every single game ever released in North America, and it's the show that got me through the pandemic. Like that
Oh
was,
man.
yeah, which was like a really big deal. And then you and Justin and J-Ban, your two other friends, are embarking on what might be a crazier endeavor.
Mhm.
Can you tell our audience about CinemArcade?
Yeah, absolutely. CinemArcade is a show where we are watching a movie and then playing the video game based on that movie. When the whole goal is to see how do these two contrast? How do they compare? Are they in any way related to each other? Are they in any way commenting on each other? And it gives us a real opportunity to just talk about a very, very, very wide variety of movies, and that's kind of been and of games and that for that matter. But it's also kind of, the game to the movie game adaptation is kind of a vilified subgenre. Like people just kind of immediately dismiss it. And so we're kind of looking for the gems. We're trying to like suss through the overlooked subgenre here and see if there's anything worth playing.
And I appreciate you guys didn't go like straight to Chronicles of Riddick. You know what I mean? Because like
We
I
had to
feel
tease
like
that one out. Yeah, we still haven't done GoldenEye, but obviously I've talked a lot about GoldenEye on podcasts in the past, so I'm in no rush. But GoldenEye is definitely one of the big ones people want to hear about.
yeah, we get that request a lot too. Mike, do you have a favorite game based on a movie?
I mean, I don't know how loosely you want to take it. Like
Yep, please.
Star Wars games that are basically in a universe that is established by a movie, but they're not I would say they're not necessarily an adaptation of the movie, but then again, I also remember that further down that like my top Star Wars game isn't, but then again, Star Wars Trilogy Arcade
Yeah.
very much is just here's parts of the movie and that game's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a spectrum with Star Wars games in particular. Like, yeah, you could technically call all of them a movie-based game, but then there are a few that are just like specifically recreating moments from the movies, and some of them are pretty good. Yeah, I think we played the Super Star Wars series for those episodes, and those are still a blast. I love those games.
Yeah, but you didn't do the one where Darth Vader turns into a scorpion in the final battle, right?
No,
That's
we
a
did. We did. We found a ROM of that. Yeah, I had to bring that one up because my co-host did not believe me that existed. But yeah, yeah, we had to play the Scorpion version of Darth Vader.
Do you ever mess around with games that were meant to be based off movies, but they couldn't secure things? Like I'm thinking of Carmageddon was supposed to be Death Race 2000, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, we haven't delved too deep into that. There are a couple where so there's a Game Boy Advance game called Ice Nine, which readers might know as a Kurt Vonnegut reference, but it's actually a reference. It's actually an adaptation of the 2003 Colin Farrell Al Pacino spy thriller, The Recruit. Something happened in the mix there, but like I think they lost the license, but we still wound up playing Ice Nine, a Game Boy Advance first-person shooter, very strange. And yeah, it's loosely based on the forgotten spy thriller, The Recruit. So go figure. Yeah, that's been the weirdest one we've found so far.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. It's like that's hilarious, and it's just totally off my radar. Okay, so
Yeah.
one more question here because this isn't releasing until May 6th. So,
Mhm.
is there an upcoming game you're excited to cover? And you can tell if you haven't told
Ooh.
Justin and J-Ban, you could tell me because they won't know until it's too late.
They won't know. They won't know. I'm definitely gonna surprise them with the SpongeBob movie, so that's gonna be fun.
Oh, okay.
To actually tonight after this episode of this recording, we're getting together to record an episode on Godzilla, which I'm very excited about. For all of my kind of weird Godzilla obsession, I've never seen the original movie in full, so now I finally have, and it's pretty fantastic. So we've got that coming up. We've got Darkman, the Sam Raimi movie, that's coming up pretty soon. Yeah, and then I've been wanting to pepper a couple of them in. I think we're going to be doing the Scooby-Doo movies pretty soon. Yeah, I want to get Space Jam in there at some point. Yeah, there's the Space Jam will be a three-part series, but yeah, we'll
You
get
can
into
cover
it.
Space Jam and the Scooby Doo stuff in one shot with multiverses.
Oh, that's
That's
true.
true.
That's true. Except is it completely delisted yet? Is it totally just dead? I know it's no longer being supported, but can you still access it?
I don't. I, Probably not. I
Oh,
think it may be dead. Although I thought they brought it back briefly.
And then it's gone again. Yeah. Game has had a hell of a time.
now I'll never be able to see Jake the dog punching, Arya Stark. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself.
I mean, there's probably some pretty juicy fan fiction out there with it. Now,
Oh, there's definitely some of that. Yeah. I'm writing it currently.
Mike, stay on topic. Let's get into it, guys. Sir Arthur isn't going to stone his own sword here.
Mhm.
Are you guys ready to see the violence inherent in the system?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Always.
So let's get started with Quest for Camelot in theaters worldwide and on the Game Boy Color in 1998. As described on Nintendo Classics, can you save Camelot in Arthur's Kingdom? This action-adventure game released for the Game Boy Color in 1998 has you take on the role of Kaylee, daughter of the slain Sir Lionel, a knight of the Round Table. King Arthur has lost his magical sword Excalibur, and now Sir Ruber, the evil knight who killed your father, is out to claim Camelot as his own. As Kaylee, it's up to you to recover Excalibur and save Camelot. On your way, you'll journey through 9 realms and over 60 areas, learning new techniques along the way, but will it be enough? So, we're taking a page straight out of the CinemArcade playbook and discussing both the movie and the game today.
Mm.
Let's start with our first impressions of the theatrical poster. You have our heroes, Kaylee and Garrett the Blind Hermit, both facing the customer, fearlessly staring into the Forbidden Forest, while the two-headed dragon, Devon and Cornwall, stand supportively behind them, and the golden walls of Camelot are seen in the distance. Mike, we like in this poster?
It feels very generic in the sense like there's not something that sort of grabs me. It's just say, hey, we just put the characters standing there.
Yeah, I could see it. It's kind of cookie cutter almost, you know? And I'm sorry to be such an English teacher, you guys, but the tagline bothers me. It says, share the adventure, laughter, and song in a land where magic was born and where wizards and knights and dragons still live. Shouldn't it be in the land where magic was born? Because otherwise it's implying that there are many lands that birth magic. Am I overthinking this?
No, I think you're right. And that's just kind of a clumsy sentence to begin with. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, magic was born there, and knights and dragons still live there. So if you want to go visit there, they're still there. You can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I knew you would appreciate that, Steve. You had a whole thing about eating a metaphor and going, there's also a simile or something like that.
Yeah.
So I knew you would be on board with the grammar discussion.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down.
How do we feel about the Game Boy box art, Steve? Would you describe it for our listeners here?
Oh, okay. Well, what we have here, what we're seeing is the sequence in the movie where Kaylee is escaping from some newly mutated knights as Celine Dion sings pensively over the soundtrack. A very strange moment. This is way less bright and colorful and inviting than the poster, it looks more dark and sinister. We have this kind of like neon lit castle in the background, and she's like about to run her horse into a bunch of thorns, you know. So this is clearly like just a still lifted from the movie and slapped on a box, but it's a different vibe. It's a different energy than the poster.
I think it's better though, Mike. Like it's at least more memorable. Wouldn't you agree?
Honestly, I think it slightly suffers from both the villain and the background are the same sorts of dark blues
Yeah.
to the point that the enemy chasing her didn't register for me for far longer than it should. Like it's her running away, and I just kind of grouped the whole background as to one thing.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into some behind the scenes trivia here. Quest for Camelot was directed by Frederick Duchow, who would go on to direct the talking animal family comedies Racing Stripes and Underdog. And no, Steve, don't worry, neither of them have video game adaptations.
Oh, I checked. Yeah, I think there was a request for Racing Stripes. Somebody actually wrote in and asked, like, when are you gonna cover Racing Stripes? I'm like, never. Like, literally never.
Well, there was that weird Xbox racing, but that's you guys don't do that. You don't do games loosely inspired by other situations.
Yeah, not really, no.
The list would never end at that point. So Quest for Camelot had a strained journey to the big screen. According to Animation World magazine, Quest for Camelot animators started work before the script was even finalized. But the film was delayed when large swaths of its production team had to be reassigned to quote unquote save Space Jam when it was
Mhm.
delayed for its holiday release.
And mission accomplished, by the way. They saved the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, it was a huge hit.
Huge.
You were going to cover it one day on your podcast.
Sure am.
But so, Mike, if you had to guess the genre of the Space Jam: A New Legacy video game, what would you guess?
I am gonna guess JRPG.
Close. Okay, you didn't take my bait. I was hoping you'd guess basketball. It's actually a walk around beat 'em up.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah, it's a choice.
it's a choice. They made a lot of choices with that movie.
They
Huh.
did. They did. I'm excited to hear one day what you think about Steve, but not yet. Not yet. So the buzz around Quest for Camelot was leading up to its release was anything but. A hit piece from Hollywood rag The Record was penned by Jeffrey Wells, claiming the movie to be animation's first Waterworld style mega bomb, with a
Oh.
budget rumored to have ballooned well past 100 million. An anonymous film associate is quoted as saying, "There are 20 people who have 20 different versions of the movie in their heads. From the top down, no one had any clarity of mind to say what this movie is. No one said anything." The article goes on to say that the film's trailer had such a tepid response at the 1997 San Diego Comic-Con that the producers were visually embarrassed. Ooh, man. I I don't know about you guys, but like I just appreciate hand-drawn animation so much more. Are you guys with me?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe not with this. Like I think Warner Brothers Animation, for all five that they did, I
Hmm.
think is a little bit underappreciated in there because I think they're the last one of these, or at least two of them were like more hybrid animation because you have Space Jam at the start that has both live action and animation, and I think the last one was Looney Tunes Back in Action, which I think also doesn't get the credit it deserves either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's really underappreciated. But Warner Brothers Animation is interesting because it's kind of like the Iron Giant, and then everything else is a very distant second. It's like Iron Giant is like, yeah, it's a clear runaway winner of the entire studio, and then everything else is just kind of fighting for its scraps. And there's some stuff I like, but my association with Quest for Camelot, and this was my first time watching it for this show. The only thing I really knew about it was that it was just this massive, embarrassing bomb. But looking on Wikipedia, they're showing that that movie only cost about 40 million. So I'm not sure if there was a discrepancy or if there's like they spent a ridiculous amount on the back end or on marketing or anything. But yeah, it looks like it came close to breaking even, at least according to those rock solid figures. But yeah, that was the buzz around it. It's like, oh yeah, this thing is a disaster.
And it's funny because it shook their confidence. It shook the WB executives' confidence so much in animated films that they're like, okay, next movie, not a musical. We're not going Disney, small cast of characters. And so Iron Giant was a result of them pulling back. And I mean, that movie's like literally perfect.
It is, yeah, it's incredible.
And he's in multiverses. So there you go, Mike.
Oh, well, there you go. All right, all right. I gotta watch him punch a Mogwai.
I'd pay for that.
I'd pay for that. Yeah, it'd be like a Bambi versus Godzilla situation, but like, yeah, yeah,
Oh, to scale will be incredible.
yeah, to scale, just to do it to scale.
Okay, so movie has pretty gnarly reputation. Is it as bad as history makes it seem? Steve, you saw it recently, first time.
Yeah.
I saw it recently, first time. What was your takeaway?
I think this movie is aggressively fine. I think this movie is this is kind of like the epitome of like a 3 out of 5 star movie because it's like it doesn't do anything that really makes it stand apart, but it also doesn't do anything that embarrasses itself. I think it has really nice animation. I think a couple of the songs are pretty catchy. And I think Gary Oldman is having the time of his life, just like absolutely screaming into the microphone for an hour and a half. Like he's having a great time. But it's also very generic. Like the lead characters are generic, and there's too many like weird little guys. And yeah, you have to limit your weird little guys so that they stand apart. You know, if you have too many weird little guys, then they all kind of blend together. And this one has at least like four.
But Mike, did you recognize the voice of Bladebeak? Because it rhymes with Urple.
I that wasn't even the direction I was going to go with that reference in case you hadn't noticed, because I was going to point out that it's one of two other ties to, I'm going to say, better video games
Hmm.
that I chose to draw since we do have Jaleel White.
Playing Bladebeak, the living hatchet or chicken or serial cheater chicken. There's this whole subplot.
Yeah. This is like a real like old school baby boomer running joke. It's that this chicken who's a little dweeb is he has a fat mean wife who always smacks him because he's always trying to cheat on her.
Would you describe them as henpecked?
He's
Wow.
decidedly henpecked. He's literally henpecked. It's an Andy Cap situation. It's like that era of humor. So that hasn't aged particularly well.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say I thought she was kind of like juicy as a chick.
Yeah, you know, well, yeah.
Maybe this is
She's a thick chicken.
she's
Yeah,
a
I think we
thick
all
chick.
agree
She's a
she's a thick
thicken,
chicken.
a
She's a
thicken,
thicken. Yeah,
if
yeah.
you
She's a
will.
thicken.
But so the character like of Ruber, I think I totally agree, and I think the animators had fun with him the most. Like he's constantly like twitching and like he's kind of very physically imposing. I don't know that I was totally satisfied with when he leveled up for the final battle. Like
Yeah.
so the plot of this movie is that he's this evil knight who interrupts the opening song, which is all about democracy and trust and kindness, and he says, "Hey, how about me? Like I want more land and I deserve more." And it's like, wow, what would it be to have a leader who talks like that? Like that'd be crazy, wouldn't it, Steve? Um,
Right? Oh my God, wouldn't
I
that
can't
be
even
nice?
imagine.
Yeah.
And so then he like gets this like evil potion when he's banished from the kingdom for killing Kaylee's dad, which I thought was pretty brutal. Like the scene where she thinks dad's coming home and it's the funeral procession.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was well done. That was well done, I thought.
Yeah, it kind of hit me right in the throat. And Mike, you have this movie on DVD, but you have a lot on DVD, so it doesn't at all reflect that you enjoy movies if you own them. What's your take on the movie, Mike?
I think my issue with this, I think this is something that gets talked about with the movie, was that there was sort of a pressure to Disneyfy what they were going for because, this coming out 98, at the time this would have gotten underway. This is well into the Disney Renaissance.
Hmm.
And there's so much in here that feels like they're chasing that idea of, oh yeah, Disney's hitting it out of the park. We should just figure out as many things that they've done and try to do those. And that ranges from, there's bits that, at least to me, like there's parallels that I'm drawing to way well before Disney Renaissance is Sword in the Stone
Okay.
by Disney. And there's
Mm.
stuff, there's bits of, oh, got to go find stuff in the forest kind of stuff that gives me this vibes of that. But when you then get more to specifically like Disney Renaissance stuff, like, hey, what if we take a very funny comedian and put him as the animated side character to be sort of comic relief? And they just went, well, what if we did that, but did two comedians and then apparently didn't let them ad lib much, or at least didn't use much of their ad libs. And so you've got Eric Idle and Don Rickles in here, and it's just like there's stuff in there that works, but it's like this also feels like an advantage that wasn't fully taken. And you get a lot of, oh, we need these side characters, but they spread out. So it's like I could see Bladebeak working better if there was more, because I think the bits that were there can be amusing, but it's just like this amount of screen time he has, like this feels like a weird level. Like he's not really a character you get used to. He's just like, oh yeah, right, that's happening in here as well. Like even the Griffin has a personality that I wish I had a bit more. Like it is very much, there's too many of them and none of them get much focus. And then there's the way that they do the songs kind of also feels a bit more like they're chasing Disney. And for me, they don't quite stick it. I did find it interesting to look up what those songwriters have done.
Hmm.
And one of them was a co-writer for St. Elmo's Fire, Man in Motion. And
Yeah,
the other
Carol. Yeah.
wrote the theme for Arthur.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Carol Bayer Sager, who we're making Monty Python references. She gets a shout out in Meaning of Life, yeah, in a bit in that movie. But yeah, and then yeah, so there's some
Oh,
good songwriting here.
it's in
But
the philosophy discussion about Burt Bacharach.
yes, yeah. When they're having a conversation, they're going to the restaurant in the dungeon with the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a weird sketch. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think like the music, this is very much chasing like the Disney princess thing, and it comes out the same year as Mulan. So like Disney's already pretty established in what they're doing. And I just thought it was interesting. I was looking at like the Warner Brothers animation run up to this point, and they kind of got their start with Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, which was like basically just a TV movie that was so good it got elevated to theatrical release. Then we get Space Jam, which is a huge hit, and then it's just like back to back to back flops. It's Cats Don't Dance, Quest for Camelot, Iron Giant, which did lose a lot of money, Osmosis Jones, Looney Tunes Back in Action. They don't get another hit until Happy Feet in 2006, and by that point, they've kind of abandoned the Warner Brothers like house style. So there are a lot fewer of these than I even realized.
Cats Don't Dance being a flop. That isn't their failing, that's society's.
Yeah, that movie's like perfect.
It because that movie kind of rules, but it's also extremely like aggressively old timey, and it's like for musical theater nerds, and they didn't know how to market that movie, and they had no idea how to sell it, but it's pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, the Cats Don't Dance, if I can drag out my Cats Don't Dance soapbox, is that like when Zootopia came out and everyone's like, oh my God, Zootopia, it's like they're animals, but it's like a metaphor for discrimination. I was like, yeah, Cats Don't Dance did that decades ago and none of y'all care. Justice for
And
Cats
they also
Don't
kind of made it
Dance.
about like the Hollywood blacklist in a way, and
Yeah.
and you get actual choreography from Gene Kelly. The last thing he ever did in his life is choreograph Cats Don't Dance. So
Yeah. I will say though, to me, this movie's plugging along and like there's some bits where it's like a big crowd shot and like the frame rate of animation drops real low because they just, throwing money at it left and right, but clearly just this isn't Disney level of animation. It's not Disney level songs.
no,
And I think going into this movie with rock bottom expectations, I think it really worked in its favor.
Although I will say the one song, If I Didn't Have You, and granted, I'm almost not sure. I don't know if it's the song, just the comedy in the song was the one I'm like, okay, this one's almost working really well.
Yeah.
it was the only like fun song. It's the only like Friend Like Me, or
Yeah.
like yeah, it's the only one that I think everything like, and I think they have a problem with matching the singers' voices to the actors' voices. Like when Carrie Elwes's character starts singing, it is somebody in a significantly higher register. It's a country singer named Brian White, and they just sound nothing alike. Jessalyn Gelsig, who plays Kaylee, like she's not doing her own singing. That's Andrea Corr from the Chorus. She sounds way different. So there's no real attempt at like matching timbers on that, and that gets a little distracting.
Yeah.
Isn't also the was it? I think the king was, oh God,
Pierce
Pierce
Brosnan.
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, but then the singing is, I can't remember if it was his singing or if it was a song that wasn't being sung by anyone on screen. That was the guy from Journey.
He Steve Perry did the radio edits of all of these songs, which I do recall. Like I kind of forgot that these songs were like associated with this movie, but the song Looking Through Your Eyes became like a pretty decent like hit for Leanne Rimes back in the day. And my
Oh yeah.
whatever reason, Leanne Rimes was big in my household, and so I had to hear that song a lot. Yeah.
It's big in my household too. My mom was crazy about her.
Yeah, it was my brother weirdly was really into her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned like Pierce Brosnan as King Arthur, and like
Hmm.
I think one of the things that really keeps this movie from ever taking off is that there's a lot of characters that are just very one note, very, you know, kind of uninteresting. Unfortunately, Kaylee, I would kind of put in that category. She's never really
Yeah.
conflicted. She never
Yeah.
really acts selfishly. She never really has a crisis of conscience at all. She's always just kind of the paragon of good, which like is fine. You can have that character. And Arthur is very much the same way.
In a sense, it never really takes off because it can't agree with itself.
Okay, so but you get to back to
Yeah.
Devon and Cornwall though. I think when they show up, I'm like, okay, this movie's finally breathing a little and it gets a little more fun. And I was surprised at how entertained I was by Don Rickles and Eric Idle's character, just because I had heard it was really annoying. But like they do this weird running motif where like I guess this is Devon, Eric Idle's dragon head, kind of wants to hook up with the other head and see what that would be like. That's
There's
like a joke.
multiple incest jokes in there. They
Yeah.
straight up say that they are the way they are because the cousins copulated. Like, yeah, they there's multiple incest jokes there.
Yeah, it's like, what are you? He's like, well, put it simply, we're the reason cousins shouldn't marry. And it's like, oh my God, like I almost
I was like,
spit
damn.
my white claw. Like,
Yeah. I was one maybe that is the one line where they let Eric Idle improvise and they just kind of left that in because different time.
do you guys get the reference to the name Devon and Cornwall? Do you understand the reference?
Yeah, it's two different like towns in the UK, right?
Yeah, the two westernmost counties, they're separated by a river and they have this long-standing rivalry over a bunch of silly things. One of which is the proper way to top a scone. Is it
Mm.
scone jelly sweet cream or is it scone sweet cream jelly? And I want to settle this once and for all in the old switcheroo because I think jelly on top of cream is blasphemous. I would never do it that way.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know why. Yeah.
Uh-oh,
Yeah, I think I have to go with you on that.
Mike's looking at it. Mike, well,
I don't.
you wouldn't put both of these on a scone.
Yeah, I wouldn't put either of those on this count. Yeah.
I wouldn't either, but yeah.
What county does that make you?
I'm Sussex.
There we
I
go.
just I just raw dog a scone and then just chug a black coffee. That's it. That's the Sussex way.
We either lost the Sussex audience or we just gained them, Mike. It depends on how accurate he just was.
They're like, "Oh, he got us." Yeah. Now you lost them. Now you lost them. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
that's fine. You're an actor. You couldn't hold it in the whole time.
You just deep fry it. That'll get Scotland on board.
There we go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I just agree. Movie kind of mid. There's things that I liked about it that I think will kind of come up as we discuss the game.
Yeah. It is just kind of a very standard like hero's journey kind of movie. It didn't surprise me at any point, but I also like I wasn't mad about anything I was seeing. It's just yeah, it's just a very room temperature movie.
Right. Which is, I think you might have said it before on your podcast, but that's almost like the worst kind is that it doesn't really take a chance. And so, like, something can be interesting because it's bad, or something could be interesting because it's great. But if it's just safe, it's kind of the most boring kind of film.
Yeah.
The one thing I think the movie just objectively does badly is the audio mixing. You mentioned the songs, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but like the sound effects are way louder than the singing, or sometimes the singing was behind. Was this my TV setup, or was it badly mixed?
I didn't have too much problem with the
Hmm,
DVD I
okay.
got, but that is a big pet peeve of mine when it's like a dialogue so quiet you can't really hear anything, and then it's like giant explosions and it blows out your speakers. That drives me crazy.
Any other thoughts on the movie before we segue into the game?
I will say I do appreciate the Warner Brothers cartoon references that show up in here, which actually
Okay.
both of these are, if I didn't have you, I think, has both a Wile E. Coyote like background for a fall
Oh yeah.
and Red Hot Riding Hood is in this.
What's Red Hot Mike? You get
Yeah,
this
yeah.
delisted again. What is Red Hot Riding Hood?
You know the classic thing of like a wolf or any anime character, but often straight up a literal wolf that does the whole like eyes bulge out and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Like the mask. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All of the, I think you basically trace all that back to Red Hot Riding Hood, which was a 1940s cartoon. And as a character, like she's shown up in a bunch of other stuff, There's several with her from the 40s.
Are they all Tex Avery?
I don't know if they all are.
Hmm. Yeah, he's got that signature style. Like he was the big like goo goo eyes
Yeah.
animator and like the heart beating out of your chest and like the basically yeah, just anything you could do to indicate a character is horny without just straight up saying he's horny. That was Tex Avery.
I think Red Hot Riding Hood is the one that starts with like a normal telling of Little Red Riding Hood, and then they're like, no, no, we've done this. Everyone's heard this, and then they switch it up to a whole different. So it's like a modernized contemporary version where now she's like this dancer, and the wolf is just, I mean, a wolf, but it's also
Yeah.
working metaphorically. It's a nice bit to see in there.
I think though a lot of the references though are a bit cringier. There's like, oh, I'm the Dragon King, and he's like on the Simba Rock or whatever, the Pride Rock, I guess is what it's called. And
Yeah.
Blade Beak has this whole thing where he's like Clint Eastwood and Do You Feel Clucky Punk? And I
Oh,
was like,
that was
this is
cringy. That was cringy.
Mike liked it.
I like the idea that it only makes sense from the standpoint of knowing those movies, either in movie or out, because they don't necessarily fit unless. So there is an element where like this implies that that character and nobody else is aware of these movies.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, because it is Taxi Driver gets referenced in there too, and it's like which is and I guess I'll give him credit because that is very clearly not for the child audience.
I did like that they got a snippet of the Superman theme when the dragons are flying around. I appreciated that.
Yeah, and there are moments that strangely hit for me. It's like Devin and Cornwall finally able to fly because they both are scared for Kaylee. Like that's good writing. Like
Sure.
that's nice. And when they like get to breathe fire at the Griffin or whatever, I was like, how am I like fuck yaing Devin and Cornwall from Quest for Camelot? Like how
Yeah,
is this
right.
hitting? And even the way they defeat Ruber, I was kind of satisfied with because it's like, oh, that's what he taught her. And I've read a lot about how he's one of the few characters, Garrett, the blind hermit, and he's a character with a disability, and it's central to his plot. And the part where he doesn't want to go back to society because they don't treat him as even a human, I was like, oh, this is low key gut wrenching. So this movie has some ideas. I think it deserved better than it got.
And it doesn't remove the disabilities for a happy ending.
Exactly.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
And even Devon and Cornwall get split up like for a second, which I guess implies it was some kind of curse or something.
I was wondering about the logic of that too. Yeah, the magic was like reverting everyone back to their original forms. And when he did that, Devin and Cornwall are suddenly two different dragons, but then they hug each other tight enough that they turn back into one dragon with two heads.
And I love that moment. Like, yeah, it's very on the nose, but I was like, well, they had a whole song where they fantasize about chopping each other's heads off. And it's like, okay, they do want to be together. They see each other's value now.
It is very quickie kind of visual storytelling kind of wrapping up. Yeah, but it
I'm a
works.
cheap date, Steve. It hit for me.
Hey,
I was
hey,
like,
look.
oh, the
Look, if
boys.
you're dissecting this thing with a microscope, then you're probably watching it wrong anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, 100%. Anything else to say about the movie before we segue to the Game Boy Color game?
Two things. Number one, I find it amusing this mentions one Pokemon.
Hmm.
I don't think it does it on purpose, but I'm going to count it.
Which one?
Dragonair.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you for flying Dragon Air. Wow.
oh my
Wow,
God.
Mike. That is a pun worthy of this movie. Good job.
Thank you. And then I was going to say, Ruber is one of those situations that movies do where you sort of have like did nobody like background check this dude? And
Right.
part of that is like just even like visually in my mind he exists somewhere on a spectrum of specific villain looks that also includes both Riff Raff from Rocky Horror and the one of the villains from the Chipmunks, the Great Chipmunk Adventure. I feel like I could put these on a spectrum with Ruber in the middle of
Yeah.
moderate changes to them.
So how does this, because Steve and Mike, actually, you guys both know a lot about like the way movies are made. So I see what you're talking about, the Great Chipmunk Adventure villain.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah, the one where the chipmunks smuggled diamonds internationally
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and then seduce snakes. It's kids movies.
Absolutely.
But so Mulan came out like a couple of weeks after Quest for Camelot and
Mhm.
totally like took all of its like momentum out of its like VHS sales or whatever because you would have seen Mulan before Quest for Camelot was available for home rental. And so now you kind of, well, what are you going to rent at Blockbuster? You're
Yeah.
going to grab Mulan. It's the much better film, but Ruber visually looks so similar to Shan Yu. Or is that his name, Shan Yu? I think it is.
Yeah, yeah. My fiance actually was commenting on that while we were watching the movie. She's like, "Wow, this guy looks a lot like the Mulan villain."
Yeah, but like,
There's a weird amount of Mulan-esque things where I'm like, I can't hold this against you because you came out at the same time. If it's like,
yeah, this
you
came
know,
first.
Yeah, it was being developed at the same time. Yeah,
yeah,
and it,
so you can't be like, okay, you ripped this off to be like, there's the reflections bit, and there's the daughter that's going to take up the sword, even though that's not supposed to be how things work. It's like there's a lot where it's like, okay, I can't blame either of you for stealing from the other, probably.
it's possible that Mulan was in production even before Quest for Camelot, just knowing the cycle of animation back in the day. Like Quest for Camelot was supposed to come out in 1995, and then it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. So I don't know exactly when they started, but like typically a Disney production of the scale of Mulan would take like 4 years to make. So there's probably some overlap, and there was definitely a little bit of rivalry between all these animation studios because everybody was just kind of like trying to snipe at Disney's crown. And it wasn't until I think with when DreamWorks kind of entered the race, that's when they started very specifically making movies that were going to be counterparts. That's where we get the ants versus the Bugs Life, the kind of thing. And that's just kind of driven by the rivalry between Eisner and Katzenberg. So like yeah, so I do think this was kind of more parallel thinking, but these are also two hulking, balding villains with long hair and just kind of like a manic, crazy energy,
And
and
brutish side characters.
Brutus side characters, and like bird side characters too. Yeah, yeah, they both have like killer birds.
Well, so speaking of sharing DNA, I think we're ready to move on to the Game Boy Color game.
Let's do it.
So we start, Steve. Well, first we share our experience with the game and how far we got. So, Mike, I want to start with you because you had seen Quest for Camelot back in the day, so you have a longer history with the movie than Steve or I do.
I hadn't seen
Mhm.
it back in the day. I saw it like 3 years ago, two
Okay,
Oh,
years ago.
okay.
but still, but
Yeah,
you
the
were
day.
familiar.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
day refers to 3 years ago.
2023, the day. Yeah,
That's when they say back in the day. That's the day they mean. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but you had never tried the game, I assume, before preparing for the show, right, Mike?
Correct.
And but you, I saw on Twitch, we're making decent progress. And I think you have a magical stick up your butt about what happened. But, how far'd you get?
I got to what I guess is the second boss. I think that the plant is the second boss, right? Am I forgetting one?
No, I think that's right.
And in short, save the details for later. That is where I hit the point of I was officially so fed up with this game that I was done.
Okay. That's the wall you hit.
I hit mine a little sooner than that. I think I hit mine shortly after getting the horse that will throw you off every couple of feet and force you to dig around and look for hay and feed him so he'll carry you for a little while longer. That was the point where I'm like, okay, wait, and I don't have a map. I don't know where I'm going, so I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Yeah.
You said a magic word, which is part of why I'm annoyed with this game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny because, like, I'm not trying to defend this game. I mean, I am, you know what? We start with the Joy Pros, okay? I am going to defend this game. There is a quest if you go to the top part of the map. They say get this really big piece of hay or turnip, as they're called, but Butch pointed out in our chat, it's totally hay.
Yeah, it's hay.
And that's what keeps the horse from stopping. If you give him the big thing of hay, he will go indefinitely. But I only know that because I spent a lot of time with this game.
Yeah.
I've tried to beat every game we cover and using moderate use of the rewind feature. Not too egregious, but 6.5 hours later, I did beat Quest for Camelot.
Nintendo.
Family computer.
You did it. Okay. Nicely done.
And I don't know if I'm proud, but I did it. I beat this entire game.
That's awesome.
So, Steve, is there anything that you liked about it? Because I think it's pretty rough on first impression, but it does have its defenders online. Anything you enjoyed?
It was kind of drawing me in spite of myself, just because I am always going to respond to a Zelda style game structure. Like, right, I love a top-down overworld map. I love the element of exploration and finding a big item that you can use to like advance to the next section. Like that structure always works for me. And I found some of the controls and some of the execution of this a little clunky, but once I got a sword and once I got like some more items that I could play around with, it started to click a little bit. I like that your sword gets stronger the more guys you kill, so I like you have a little bit of a leveling up system. But yeah, I think I was drawing me in enough that I played it more than I thought I would. I did reach a point where I'm just like, I think I might have to move on, but I enjoyed the bits that I was playing.
Gotta move on with your life at some point. You can't beat all of Quest for Camelot unless you're
It's
insane
a
like I
it's
am.
been a crazy week. Yeah.
Oh no, I mean yes, I mean for those who aren't familiar, Steve does theater and it's opening week of a
Yeah.
brand new show, and so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really appreciate. I mean, I was like actually thinking about you. I was like, man, he's probably coming home from a long performance. It's late at night, and he's got Quest for Camelot on his Switch for us. And I was like,
Uh
oh, Steve.
it was a good time. It was a good time. I'm happy to.
But okay, but so to be in this game's corner for a little bit, because it's really easy to point out what's bad about this game. We're gonna get to that. I think Mike's gonna have a lot to say about that. But there are these things where it's like, okay, I was a big fan of Link's Awakening, and there are some things that this did that didn't do. Like you said, the overworld map. Like in this game, you get a compass, and then for the rest of the game, at any time, you can see a map of the dungeon you're in, including enemy locations and item locations. And I was like, okay, this is kind of removing a bit of the Zelda, where the hell do I go now frustration.
Right.
I would like to correct that to you got a compass.
Mike didn't get far enough to get the compass. Did you miss it?
I missed it. It's totally
Oh,
missable, and nothing told me about it.
brutal. Okay.
And that is actually like one of my frustrating things. That should not be a missable item,
Yeah,
or it should be that there's multiple options to get it.
right.
Like other things, people really clearly told me about. Like I got the shield and stuff like that because somebody was like, "Yeah, here's some stuff to do." It's like, okay, I can deal with that. Like that compass should have been like someone hands it to you.
It went a long way towards making the game not infuriating.
Yeah, I would imagine
Yeah.
so. Honestly, part of my giving up on this was when I needed to find the horse and I wasn't sure. And at the end of my first session, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go find a horse. That's gonna be annoying. And you're like, oh, just use the compass. I'm like, I don't have a compass. Like, check your items. Like, yeah, no, I don't have a compass. Is I checked a walkthrough, and the walkthrough was like, just use the compass. I'm like, I swear to God. Um,
And Steve, the reason I'm laughing so much is that Mike and I were in scouts together, and I could
Oh
not use
no.
no, and Mike was great. Like his family's the reason I got into it, and I had some of my best memories in scouting. But I was terrible with the compass. I could not get that thing to freaking work, and Mike was great with the compass. So I love that now, like what, 30 years later, Mike, and like, who's good with the compass now, huh, Lund?
I'm sure I'd be good with it if I had it. Like that shouldn't have been an item that you had to know to do the right thing at the right time. Like there should have been a thing being like, hey, you should go get a compass over there. Make me figure out how to do it, but like tell me that that's a thing in this game because it was
Yeah.
not brought up.
It does attempt some gameplay variety. I don't know how well it exceeds or succeeds at it, but like at one point, you are later in the game and you're up on this icy mountain and you have to assemble a sled. And so
Mm.
now it is a vehicle mission where you have to dodge obstacles as you're following the giant ogre's footprints. And that's very reminiscent of the scene in the movie when they're sliding on Devon and Cornwell's belly. And it's like this big sliding sequence action scene. So that was kind of fun. There's a riddles section. Merlin gives you like a series of riddles to solve, and they're pretty bare bones. It's like it's a kid's game.
And I have to take this opportunity to shout out. This is a terrible font to have to read on a Game Boy Color. This thing, I really struggled to make sense of what this game was saying because they're using this kind of like medievally scrolling script, and it's very hard to look at on this very small pixelated screen.
It's a very good example of like a display font is supposed to be a font that you use for like titles or something.
Hmm.
I shouldn't have to read a full screen of this text because the game needs to tell me everything that happened in the movie because it is
Yeah.
only going to show me three still images. And it's like, this should be a different font for this if you're expecting me to read that much.
Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning that yeah, they show those stills from the movie, but This game bears almost no resemblance to the events of the movie, like basically at all. I mean, maybe it gets to that point, Jeremy. I don't know if it builds on that, but like the stuff that I played was like non-existent in the film at all. I was waiting for the moment where I'm feeding a bunch of turnips to a horse, and it just never happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I also played the game first and then watched the movie afterwards. And I was like, "Oh, there's a lot here that you could have used for your game, and you made kind of a generic Zelda clone."
Yeah.
And that feels weird. I think so. Kind of segueing into the Joy Cons, I guess, is that I think this game's biggest egregious failure is not really using its IP very well. So
Yeah.
like you guys said, they have these still images of the film recreated on the Game Boy Color, which is kind of impressive. They're not animated, but for a second we're like, "Oh, I remember that shot in the movie." But then they have like Garrett, the character of Garrett in the movie. We just talked about he's kind of empowering. He has this kind of fun song. It's like the world's only power ballad for introverts
Yeah, yeah.
called I Stand Alone, where like how much he loves just people leaving him the hell alone.
I related.
Yeah, 100%. We can all relate to it. And then in the game, he's just, you meet him one time. He's in a fully furnished house, which is like, did you not even get the script for the film?
Yeah, he lived in a mystical forest, which like looked
Yeah.
more fun, you know? He had plants throwing him around.
But he just he's just for a fetch quest and he tells you, "Oh, get my magical stick," which I guess is supposed to be his walking stick since he's blind,
Yeah,
right?
there were a lot of fetch quests that I was encountering, and some of them were pretty annoying. Some of them were like go around and kill every enemy, which is fine because that helps you level up your sword. But some of them are like, oh, I can't forge you this sword until you find all my chickens. But also, I'm not going to tell you how many chickens I have. Just wander around and then keep coming back and checking in until I tell you you're good. Like, so yeah, there a lot of fetch quests.
In its defense, it did say five chickens.
Oh, did it? I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that font, I can't read the font. I thought he said S chickens, and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
But it's so funny though, because like that would have been the moment to tie in the whole Blade Beak thing and the chicken cheating on the chicken wife and whatever, and like that would have been kind of fun. But they
Yeah.
don't really do that, you know? The Forbidden Forest in the movie is kind of a very video gamey sort of environment. You have them crossing bridges made out of dragon bones. The rocks are carnivorous. There's the plants are reaching out, and it's like, no, you're gonna fight the same generic knights and a bunch of mice and snakes and shut the fuck up, it's Zelda. Sorry, I'm not gonna keep swearing on this episode. But it's
Yeah.
just like everything in the movie that I thought would have been cool for a game didn't make it into the game, and like what a miss, right?
Well, and this is developed by Titus, which
Yeah.
is a company I had the misfortune to encounter quite a bit during Ultra 64 days.
Yeah.
They are the studio responsible for such classics as Virtual Chess, Blues Brothers 2000, Xena Warrior Princess, and of course the infamous Superman 64, often
Yeah.
called the worst game ever made. So Titus, I think they have a history of repurposing old games with a new IP. You know, they work fast, they work cheap, and they are not really afraid to be derivative. So I'm almost wondering if this was a very, very lightly reworked other game. I think they had a kind of a Zelda style clone or an original IP they were trying to launch, and the character maybe looked enough like Kaylee that they're like, yeah, let's slap some still photos from this in here and change some of the character names, and we're good to go.
And they also did Hercules: The Legendary Journeys for the N64.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I want fast, cheap, and not afraid to be derivative on my headstone. Like that is
Yes.
like that is the
That's a
brand,
good way to live. Yeah, it's a good
right?
way to live.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You talk about like the disappointment that they didn't really know how to use their IP. I'm more annoyed they also didn't know how to correctly steal from another
Yeah.
IP. Like if you're going to basically rip off a game, like you should at least have the good elements of that game you're ripping off. Like there was too much of this that I'm like, Zelda wouldn't have done this nonsense.
Yeah.
No. It's much more streamlined. They wouldn't make you like find six gewgaws in order to proceed to the next world, you know.
It
Yeah.
also would have done a little bit of a better job of like a lot of this had me being like, yeah, Zelda does this better, is things like Zelda will train you on what you're going to need to do to some extent
Yeah.
of like, here's a thing, you're going to need to use this thing and kind of give an indication for it. And then you get to that point, you're like, oh, now this is where I use that thing. And this did not feel like it did that so much.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we talked before, Mike, on our Zelda episodes about how like the items are kind of the star of the show in those games, and it's just like in this one, it's like, oh, you got a grappling hook, but you're only going to use it 3 times, and there's going to be a giant arrow on the ground to tell you exactly where you can grapple, and it's like that's not a fun mechanic. There's like a little leaf that you jump with, which is super Zelda. But of
Yeah.
course, though, the jumps, Kaylee does this huge jump and overshoots the target, so you can't go to the edge and then jump. You have to jump from somewhere in the middle. It's just a huge mess. But I think the worst one, the most difficult to use item, which is required to pass, is Garrett's magic stick.
Oh, I was going to say the worst, or we'll continue on this and then come back to what I think the worst item is.
That's the compass you didn't get.
Different one. Continue with the stick.
I just think the stick is awful because you're supposed to wedge it in the mouth of these plants, but I could never figure out where I'm supposed to be standing and when to why can I get delisted? When to shove that stick in the giant plant's mouth? Like
Right.
I never figured it out.
And the knockback when you hit an enemy would also mean like if I could get the stick in, then I'd hit it like once and then bounce back, hit a tentacle and be taking damage. I'm like, this is so incredibly obnoxious for when I'm ostensibly doing things correctly. And actually, it was that battle was able to figure out how to use the stick, but I had for a while I think discounted it because the hitboxes on this are atrocious, especially compared to your range.
Yeah.
And it feels directional, which is even more obnoxious. And so I'd end up in this situation where I'm like, I can get the stick, or where it'd be like, okay, nope, I'm too far away, and I just swing the stick, and then I tap the button once to move closer, and now I've ran into it. And I'm like, where is the range that I'm the correct distance from junk? And I had the same problem with the sword of
Yeah.
either I'm too far away or I have ran into it. And it didn't feel like there was a in between on that I could control with the controller. And that made this super frustrating.
I found myself being super frustrated by the grappling hook, which is one of the great joys of video games, is a good grappling hook mechanic. And this game has one of the worst I've ever seen. It's just it seems to be extremely context sensitive. And as near as I can tell, you can only use it one time to access one area. Maybe you get to use it again, but like basically if you equip it and try and use it anywhere other than that exact spot where you need to use it, the game just like pauses for a second and you just interrupts the flow. So it's a real missed opportunity. Like it just shouldn't even have been in there.
Well, and like the Zelda grapple shot is so fun.
It's one of the best. Yeah,
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 so like
absolutely.
don't get me all excited for a good grappling hook. Okay, just call it a ladder. That's what it is.
Exactly.
I think I even would have given this game a lot more credit because, like, when I got the shovel and I could just dig up hearts, I was like, oh, okay, this game has turned a corner. And then I moved on and I can't use the shovel anymore.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did you give me this? Make me think this game was finally going to do something in my favor and then just take it away.
But also, did you guys get the sense that this game was like unfinished almost? Because like, first of all, we've talked about the cutscenes that use the footage from the movie, but like, there's no music during those. It's this awkward scroll of text followed by like 3 images that kind of line up with what you just read. And
Yeah.
like, I was starting this game, I was like, is my sound on? Is my Switch broken? That's like, and it goes for a while. And then like, you have to use the horse to get past the wind, but the wind is represented by like a giant green rectangle with like parentheses all over it. It's just like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was cool with that.
okay.
The worst item, though, to come back to that,
Mm.
and it's the worst item because this shouldn't be a freaking item. And it was great when I was streaming this to watch when I finally got like a third item and actually had to switch items. And Butch, who we've had on to talk Zelda, saw that the save function is an item you equip
Oh
and
my
then
God.
use and unequip. And that is the stupidest thing ever.
Especially because I accidentally equipped it early on, and you can't unequip it until you get another item to replace it with. So I was stuck. Like I would accidentally press a button and just like, oh, do you want to save your game? Do you want to save your game? I'm like, no, stop it.
I can't fathom why anybody ever thought that was a thing that you should do, especially because they understood you could have like interactions within the item menu because that
Yeah.
is how you check how your sword's powered up. Because I was heavily utilizing that when I decided to just grind the sword level up a chunk.
Yeah.
Actually at the grappling hook area because I'd go inside and it's like, okay, this is difficult. I'm just gonna level up my sword a couple levels and then deal with this.
But I was talking about like how it feels like unfinished, and like there's a later in the game you have to do an escort quest with Devon and Cornwall, but the sprite has literally no animation. It's sliding around the ground like a Roomba, and it's
Oh
like
no.
and that's like one of the most fun characters in the movie, and you don't animate him.
Which is weird because the dog that's kind of a little mini escort quest moved more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
the horse that actually has like full animation on a Game Boy Color. And it's like a big ass sprite for a horse. I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of looks good. Yeah.
But then like Blade Beak, there's like Blade Beak missions where you have to have him like chop down walls for you, but there's no sound of the walls breaking down. There's no animation for it. It just disappears. And I was just like, was this game rushed to be released alongside the movie or something? It just really, and the music almost never changes. Not even in the final boss against Ruber, you don't get special boss music, which is just like so important for setting tone and tension and having your gameplay feel like it has a bit more of a journey to it, is having music reflect what's happening on the screen. I should not be
Yeah.
hearing the same boo 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 when I'm fighting Ruber. And it's amusing because so much of the movie is like, not present in this game. But if you didn't watch the movie, I don't know how you'd beat it, because you have to bait Ruber into attacking the stone. He's
Oh.
invincible. And it's like that's the climax of the movie. So at the very last second, you did something right. Quest for Camelot. You are hard to love.
I mean, it very. I mean, you mentioned like, was this rush to meet the release date, and that this was the era in particular where so many of these movie adaptations were bad, and that was because they were being given like a very short. It takes a lot longer to develop a video game than it does to make a movie,
Right.
and usually they had less time than they need to really like put some thought into it. So that was definitely the case. It should be mentioned too, there was supposed to be a Nintendo 64 version of this game as well. Titus announced it. There were print ads that had them both, but like after the movie flopped, I think they canceled the unfinished 3D version and just released this game and called it a day. So there is probably some ROM out there that's like worth thousands of dollars, but yeah, probably not worth playing based on the other Titus games that I've experienced.
You
Yeah.
still have PTSD from those
I
things.
still do. Post-Titus stress disorder. Yeah, it's a real problem. Yeah, 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 it's a problem.
Anything else to complain about with Quest for Camelot before we get on to our rankings?
I think just fundamentally, this is one of the most frustrating side scrollers we played. And I say that specifically because I feel like it is a side scroller that added a third dimension badly.
Okay.
And so, like, the first fight against Ruber, or actually, kind of before that, I was noticing the thing that, like, if I was approaching enemies from above or below on the screen, it felt like I was getting hit more often.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And if I was approaching left or right, it seemed to work better.
Okay.
And so, like the first boss battle, I was getting really frustrated with. You're basically in a long rectangle or tall rectangle, I guess, with Ruber initially below you, and I was just getting wrecked trying to approach Ruber from above. Where I'm like, how am I? Like, I am just mashing attack and getting hit. I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. Then I'm like, wait, the regular enemies seemed to act like I was supposed to approach from a side instead. And so I did that to him and it worked. And it was like, this isn't satisfying. Like, this wasn't like, oh, I figured something out with the tools I've been given. This is like, oh, I don't think you programmed this well. And I've just noticed the pattern
Yeah.
and I'm adapting to how this doesn't work well because the way these hitboxes are asymmetric or something like that. Because it was like, this isn't actually satisfying to figure it out. I'm just annoyed you made me deal with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was actually sort of how the only way I made progress with the plant was going, oh, yeah, right now, flatten this down and just go left and right. And that was when I got the closest to getting through that, was when I stopped thinking about this as having full motion, which is not how this should work.
Well, so I want to ask Steve,
Hmm.
because you have endured some truly terrible side scrollers on your show.
Yeah.
Wayne's World, I think, is probably near the bottom.
Wayne's World is pretty infamous. Yeah. Yeah.
Mike, if you had to guess the genre of the Wayne's World game, what would you guess?
I have seen it. I've watched a speed run of it.
Okay, it's a side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
weird because he doesn't own a gun.
let alone
Yeah.
miniguns that
Let alone
necessitate an
minigun
entire
necessitating a gun
shooter.
rack. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love you boys. I do. I could just put that out there and just spiked it. Um, but Steve, so there's a kind of a fun sequence in the movie where they're interacting with this big stone ogre, and he's so big that they mistake him for the environment. And I was like,
Yeah.
that could have been a cool level. Like if I'm going around, but it's actually his arms and his head and whatever. What genre would this game should have been? Because I don't think top-down Zelda was really it.
I mean, if you have infinite money, to make whatever game you want in this kind of scenario, I would make it kind of a God of War style, like cinematic
Ooh,
action game. Yeah. I mean, you
okay.
mentioned you mentioned that right there. That'd be a great way to do it. If you're not going to do that, then go back a little bit and we recently covered the Disney's Hercules, which had the 1997 game came out right before this, and it's kind of a 2.5D like platformer that has really nice looking like 32-bit sprites and then some screen like some 3D effects going on in the background. Nice little synthesis of kind of like the old to the new, and it's a fun, solid little platformer. You could have just gone less ambitious and just done that. I think that would have been perfect.
My vision, here's my, it's not $1 million idea because it's the Quest for Camelot IP. Let's call this a $10,000 idea.
Sure.
That's a brawler, like kind of Ninja Turtles. But hear me out though. You got Kaylee as player one, Garrett as player two, and player three and four is Devin and Cornwall.
Oh, so you go like to like the old Dungeons and Dragons like arcade beat 'em up games like that, or like Gauntlet Legends or something like that. Yeah, you could
Yeah,
use
yeah.
you could have a fun like multiplayer hack and slash here.
But did you guys ever play Heroes of the Storm where one of the two-headed ogre character was a co-op experience where one player moved and one player handled the spells? That could be fun as a Devon and Cornwall mechanic. Like players three and four have to, and if they can sync up their buttons, they do extra damage. Am I alone now? Just me?
I didn't play that game, but I did play the Starsky and Hutch game where one player drives and the other player shoots. So,
How is that not a thing in every game?
that's kind of a brilliant idea. I can't believe they wasted it on a like mediocre Starsky and Hutch video
Or the
game.
Mulan game where one person holds and the other person punches.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Wait, what? I don't get it. That's
Uh,
okay.
there's a line from Mulan of "You hold him and I'll punch."
Oh, yes. Yes, now I get it. Okay, wow. Wow, deep cut. You know what? We got to wrap this up here. Guys, we've covered the Joy Pros, the Joy Cons, and every bit in between. So it's time to declare today's game as a Nintendo or a NintenDON'T. Steve, where did you land?
Interestingly, I thought I have to go with a Nintendo
Okay.
because there's something about this game that sort of typifies a lot of like the worst criticisms of this NES class or the Switch Classics collection, which is kind of a distinct lack of curation.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense that this game is now being like made free and available on this special service. This is a forgotten game based on a forgotten movie. This is not some like kind of cult classic that needs to be unearthed. It feels like it was just cheap and they were able to afford it and drop it out onto the system. So this is in a lot of, I think this is one like nerds like myself saw this pop up on there and like, what the fuck, Quest for Camelot? What the fuck? Like why they just now like put out Donkey Kong, which is like the best game on the Game Boy, and like they only just now put that out. But Quest for Camelot was there from like day one, wasn't it? It was pretty early.
It
It's like, so
was.
people, it's like, was anybody clamoring for this? Like, I never hear anybody having any nostalgia for this movie or this game or any, like, it's just kind of been memory hold. So to have this kind of like drop on there was really, it just felt like, okay, you're just kind of rubbing our noses in it now. Like there's nobody at the wheel here. So I think in that way, this game is interesting because it does sort of personify that criticism. In itself, it's not the worst thing I've ever played. It's not a disaster. It's just wildly mediocre. Kind of in that way, I think it's worthy of the movie, even if it has very little story to do with it.
What if the devs were actually like savants and it was like, we've heard this movie's not gonna be very good. Don't make the game too good. We need to be right there with the film.
Yeah, go home at 4 today, guys. Yeah, exactly. It's very Take Friday.
And then Nintendo, they're like sleeping under their desks using like curtains as blankets. Like some of the stories,
Right.
how those games were made are truly horrific.
I have to find just the right place to put this hidden cave.
Oh gosh. Mike, we got you got to be with Steve, right?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to say my ranking of the movie
Okay, let's do the movie.
Yeah.
is I actually would give that, I think, a weak Nintendo. It has
Mhm.
just enough to be sort of interesting to check out. I think it either shouldn't have tried to be a Disney movie and just allowed itself to be darker, or it should have stolen from Disney better and
Yeah.
really committed to that because I feel like it
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
fully. And I'm like, you're heading in a direction that could have gone better. As to the game, like there's just so many things that feel like fundamental failings on how I feel like a game should play in order to be enjoyable. That for me, it's a Super Nintendo. It's just there's save shouldn't be an item. I don't
Yeah.
even like this feels like what happens when you let AI design a game now, and it knows that there's things, but it doesn't know why they should work or how.
It's like I heard you can save in games, so here's the item that does that, and it's like, whoa, AI.
Yeah, we appreciate that they included the feature to save in a Game Boy game. I don't want to be writing down a password, so
Mike Wood, he does that for the show.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Steve, did you also land on Nintendo for the movie?
Yeah, I think the movie's like a tentative Nintendo. I think it's a pretty run-of-the-mill animated adventure, but it's following the hero's journey structure, so it's pretty crisp and entertaining. It's like 84 minutes long, like plus or with credits, so like it's not going to take up too much of your time. And there's some really nice looking animation in this. I think it's clear that they did spend some money on this thing, even if it didn't make any money. It's clear that they spent some of it. So it's nice, it's colorful, it's got a couple of songs that are pretty memorable. But yeah, it's not going to blow your skirt up. But I had a decent enough time.
I'm a huge fan of a tight 90. Like that's
Oh yeah,
always a big selling point as I become an older man here.
that is a sweet spot.
And so I agree, you guys. Quest for Camelot, the film, Nintendo, you could do worse. Don't like go out of your way to
Yeah,
see
it's
it.
it's 6.99 to rent on Amazon right now. I wouldn't pay 6.99 for it, but I got it from the library, so.
There you go. There you go. So I also agree with Mike. This is a Super Nintendo. It's one of the shoddiest games I've ever played. There was some level of simple pleasure playing a game that felt so boring. It was almost meditative. But like the better way to like ignore a game is to just not play it at all. So it's just like that's I don't think so. It's not it. And for our and standings, I put it in almost the bottom 10. I said Quest for Camelot is a little better than Smash Tennis on the SNES and a little worse than Pilot Wings on the SNES, which like Pilot Wings technically was impressive, but it wasn't very fun to play.
Yeah.
This game is neither technically impressive nor that fun to play. Mike, where did you put it?
I have it at my bottom sixth,
Ooh.
Ooh, damn.
which puts it. Every time I do one of these, it's going to be controversial. Puts it just above Star Soldier and just below Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels.
You're
Oh yeah.
no, Steve. No, don't agree with him. The Lost Levels is great.
Lost Levels is yeah, I think you might have some Stockholm syndrome from that one. I think just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's great.
Yeah,
But what are your
100%.
respective number ones?
My number one is currently Mario Kart 64.
Great.
And Mike, what's your number one?
Pokemon Snap.
I'm on board. Pokemon Snap rips. I love that game. I play that's like a comfort game for me, You beat it in 3 hours and just like have a good time.
I still think Mike's number three is weird. Sonic Spinball. Like better than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go that far. Sonic Spinball is yeah. That's a game I was obsessed with the idea of when I was a kid, and I didn't get to play it until I was older. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's pinball.
I like pinball.
Yeah,
And I like Sonic. So there we go.
And Sonic being voiced by the same as Blade Week. So it all comes together.
Beautiful.
there he is, Julio White.
And speaking of all comes together, the and standing Mike and I's mathematically combined list, Quest for Camelot is our fourth worst game we've ever covered,
Oof.
right below Flicky and right above Congo's Caper. Those are some Butch games right there. No, hold on. Congo's Caper was Ryan.
Yeah.
Flicky was Butch. But yep, pretty infamous bottom five.
What was so bad about Xevious? I don't think I ever played Xevious.
Oh boy. I mean, you have Switch Online, right?
Yeah, okay. Should I boot that one up and try it
Boot
out? Yeah.
You'll know within 30 seconds what's so bad about ZVS.
Hell yeah.
Do
Okay.
you
All
like
right.
video game music?
I do.
Do you like it if it's just the same four notes that repeat?
Those are my favorite ones.
All right,
No.
All four.
then you're set.
Beep, boop, boop, and beep. All four of my favorites.
Do
Yeah.
that again over and over again. It's pretty rough presentation wise.
All right. All right.
Well, guys, we're gonna call that game over for today. The final score is Quest for Camelot, the film, a reluctant Nintendo, and Quest for Camelot, the game, pretty resounding Nintendo.
Reluctant Nintendo, not to be confused with Reluctant Dragon.
There you
No.
go. There you go, Mike. All right. Steve, it's an honor to have you on the show here. Before you get the hell out of here, why don't you let our listeners know where they can find your inspiring body of work?
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast. Yeah, I've got a bunch of podcasts out there. Currently, I'm doing the aforementioned CinemArcade. I also have another show going on right now. It's called Puppet Masters Castle Freaks. That's for the horror heads out there. We are covering every movie in the Full Moon Features catalog. So if you don't know what that is, then you are a normal person with a functioning brain.
But Mike knows.
But if you do know what that is, then you're a cool person with a special brain, and you should listen to that show because we're covering all of them. So this is everything from like the Puppet Master series. We're going back to the 80s, and we're talking about movies like Reanimator and From Beyond and Troll. And then all the way up to the stuff that we just recorded an episode on a movie that they released 2 months ago. So they're still at it. So yeah, you can find that Puppet Masters Castle Freaks. We have some amazing interviews on there. We've had like Barbara Crampton from Reanimator and a lot of the filmmakers and staff and cast and crew. So it's been really fun. And then Ultra 64 is still out there. You can find it. That segued into Wii Universe. So we covered every game on the N64 and every game on the Wii U, and then we had to stop. But yeah, we did those 2 seasons. We had a lot of fun doing them. Me and Woody Siskowski, and yeah, and then yeah, I'm around. You can Google me. I'm writing stuff places. I'm acting in things. I'm doing a lot of stuff.
Awesome. It sounds like Mike's going to check out your full moon deep dive, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some solid stuff in that. Without getting too specific, I am very close right now to the hotel from Puppet Master.
Oh, and yeah. Okay. I won't dox where you are, but yeah, that's
And he has a Muppet poster on the wall, so we can figure this out.
one quick random story from Charles Band's autobiography. Charles Band is the producer and the creator of Full Moon Features. In his autobiography, he tells a story about how a man once came up to him holding a photo of that hotel and saying, like, I grew up here. I grew up here. And then Charles Band was like, well, no, that's impossible because that hotel doesn't exist. It was superimposed onto like a matte painting. But then the guy just like left him the photo and disappeared. And he said, it's like, I have no idea what that was. Was that like a ghost? Was that something? Yeah, he was trying to play it up as this kind of weird supernatural encounter. But there was somebody who swears that hotel exists and it does not.
But Mike just said he lives near it. What's
Yeah.
going on?
It's a real building that they superimposed to look like it's Oceanside, kind of like in the same way of Step by Step uses Colossus and Magic Mountain, but replaced
Sure.
the parking lot with an ocean so that now Six Flags Magic Mountain is beachside.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it's climate change. That's
Yeah, exactly.
it's happening
Yeah.
eventually. Well, guys, that all sounds NE excellent. Everyone join us next time. We'll be running and gunning with Contra Hardcore on the Sega Genesis. Also, don't forget to visit www.theoldswitcharoo.com. There you can find links to our Spotify, Discord, YouTube, TikTok, and all the social medias you can shake a joystick at. Big thanks to Crystal Fields for our incredible intro song. And please, dear listener, don't forget to like and subscribe. Every click means a lot, and you mean a lot to us. Until next time, this has been the Old Switcheroo, where we've been talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I've been Mike.
And I've been Jaymo. Game on, everyone. In Santa Clarita?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Well, I mean, I saw a documentary once where it turns out people eat each other in Santa Clarita. So, I don't know if that's
It's awesome. It's totally accurate.
that's probably what that was about.
All out from the other documentary that covered when Santa Clarita was nuked.
Yes.
Man, we just don't got good luck over here.